Hello students, welcome to this video tutorial on geometric concepts, part 1. So on the first page of your geometric concepts note we have a number of definitions. So let's start with the first page. So a point. The definition of a point, it specifies a position in space. Specifies a position in space. Okay, so I'd like you to draw a diagram of an example of a point. Okay, I actually have placed two examples of points, point A and point B. So if you can draw two little dots with a capital A beside one of them and a capital B beside the other. And whenever we label or kind of call out these points, this is how we write them in a sentence. Okay, so we draw a dot, and then we put a capital A. Okay, so for point B, we do the same. We draw a dot, and we make it capital B. Okay, so the important point here is that points are labeled with capital letters, never with lowercase letters. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Line segment. Line segment is a part of a line that has two endpoints. So a line segment is a part of a line that has two endpoints. So we're going to draw a simple example of a line segment. So I'd like you to draw this diagram, preferably with a ruler. So we have a starting point, A, and we have an ending point, B. But the starting point could also be considered B, and the ending point could be considered A. The point is that it has two endpoints. Okay. So how do we label them? Okay, or how do we write them in a mathematical sentence? So we have line segment AB. We have the two endpoints, and then we just place a slash or a dash over the top. Or this line could also be labeled line segment BA. There is really no direction for a line segment. Okay, so we have line segment AB or line segment BA. Okay, we're going to go on to array. Array is also part. This probably doesn't need to be a part. Oh yeah, maybe that's okay. So array, a part of a line that has a starting point called the vertex and no endpoint. So array is a part of a line that has a starting point called the vertex and no endpoint. So I'm just going to highlight the word vertex here. Okay. A part of a line that has a starting point called the vertex and no endpoint. In other words, it goes on forever. So we're going to draw a diagram of this. So this is what array looks like. It's basically just an arrow. So we have the starting point, in this case it's D, and we have no endpoint. So what E is just a random point on that array just so that we can label it. And don't forget the arrowhead. The arrowhead is very important to signify that it has no endpoint. It goes and continues on forever. Okay? All right, so how do we label it? Well, direction is very important. So we have to have the starting point first, D, and then the other point, and then we have an arrow showing the direction. Okay, very important that the arrow moves in this direction because D is the starting point. So let's put an example of what's wrong. Okay, and we don't want to write it this way. Okay? So we'll just put a little X here. All right, so when we see it in a math problem or how it's labeled, it is DE with the arrowhead starting with the D and going on forever. All right, so that's a ray. Let's move on to a line. Line is a straight path that goes outward in opposite directions and never ends. A straight path that goes outward in opposite directions and never ends. So this is very different from a line segment, which has a very fixed dimension. You can measure a line segment, but you can't measure a line because it continues on forever. Okay, so let's draw a diagram of a line. So this is what a line looks like. So I've labeled it line FG, okay? And you notice that it has arrowheads on both ends, okay? Because they go on in opposite directions forever. So how would we label this line? Okay? So this is how it would look. We could write it actually two ways. We could write it as FG with a double arrowhead over top, or it's perfectly acceptable to write it the opposite way because unlike a ray, there is no direction for a line. So in this case, this line could be labeled line FG or line GF. Okay, let's move on to a midpoint. A midpoint is a point exactly halfway between 2 points. Now, if you completed the Geometer Sketchpad unit in Computer Lab, then we used midpoints in grade 6 for the Sierpinski triangle. So let's see what this looks like in diagram form. Midpoint is a point exactly halfway between 2 points. Okay, so in order to draw this, I'd like you to first draw a line segment HI. Okay, you don't have to measure it, you can just eyeball it. And then somewhere where it looks halfway between point H and I, I'd like you to place another point and call it Z. Z is the midpoint. Now, to show that in geometry, show that these two line segments, HZ and ZI, are equal, we just put two ticks on them. Okay? So that's how you show a midpoint, a line being divided into two with a midpoint. Okay, so let's write a little conclusion over here. So we have line segment HZ equals line segment ZI. Therefore, point Z must be the midpoint. The midpoint between H and I. Okay? Point Z, therefore, point Z must be the midpoint between H and I. Okay, so that takes care of midpoint. So let's go to the last one on the page. Perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines are two line segments that intersect at 90-degree angles. So let me find the degree symbol here, 90-degree angles. Now, of course, you know the word intersect means cross each other. Okay, so two line segments that cross each other at 90-degree angles. Another word for 90-degree angles, right angles. Okay, so let's draw a diagram of perpendicular lines. So this is what perpendicular lines look like. So I've got two line segments, KL and LM, that intersect or cross each other at 90 degrees. So it's very important that you write this symbol here at the intersection, this little square, signifying perpendicular lines. Okay, so that means a 90-degree angle. Okay, so let's write a conclusion here. Okay, so we have line segment KL is perpendicular to line segment LM. Okay? So how do we show that in geometric symbols? Well, we can say KL is perpendicular to line segment LM. So this is the symbol here that shows perpendicular. So this is the thing I want you to remember here, this symbol right here. It kind of looks like an upside down T or like a thumbtack, okay? Or we can write it the opposite way. Line segment LM is perpendicular to line segment KL. Okay? All right. So this concludes the first page of the Geometric Concepts notes and this video. So please proceed with the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.